For 6, put target artifact or creature card with converted mana cost X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped. Then that player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard as a bonus. Boop. And if you have the Endless Mana combo and him on the battlefield, it's a wrap. You're just getting everything out of somebody's graveyard. Deadeye Navigator. There's talk of banning him in Magic. But I mean, his cost makes it hard for him to be banned, in my opinion. I mean, 6 is, you know, if you spend 6, there's a lot of more ruthless stuff you can spend 6 mana on. He has Soulbound, so basically when he comes into the battlefield, he bonds with another creature. As long as he's paired with another creature, each of these creatures has pay 2, and that's at instant speed. Exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So if somebody targets the Deadeye Navigator, you can protect him if you have the 2 mana available. And if it's about to be your turn and you have the 2 mana available, you can just blow up a land by flickering your Scarecrow with him. And again with Pilipala. Yes, Vornaclex makes it into this deck. He is one of the Praetors that stayed here. Sheoldred also came out of this deck. Here with Vornaclex, the Voice of Hunger, I have, of course, you know, Trample. Whenever I tap land for mana, I add 1 mana to my mana pool of any type that land produced. Whenever a land taps for mana by an opponent, that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So if I can't blow it up, they won't be able to use it. Of course, the Lightning Greaves, as you'll see, are in here to protect my creatures. At least whichever one I feel is the most need of protection at the time. Soul Ring, of course, basic for any commander deck. Springleaf Drum. For 1, I think this is a card that is overlooked. Tap an untapped creature you control, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It's for 1, and there's no cost after that, just to tap an untapped creature you control. I think that's fantastic. Add 1 mana. So you need 1 more mana? Boom. There it is. It's just sitting out there. Ramp. Elixir of Immortality. In my opinion, there are those who will argue differently, but whenever you see a deck built by me, the Elixir of Immortality is standard in any commander deck, especially because odds are that when I'm shuffling it and putting it back into my library, I have a lot of lands out of my deck already, especially with this deck. Now I'm going to just be recurring those spells that I've cast already, get more of that evilness back. If I get it out on the battlefield turn 1, now the deck isn't drawn, I feel I got to shuffle it up. Boom, just gain 5 life off of it, give my deck a shuffle, hopefully change the spells that I'm drawing. Get me what I need instead of what I don't need. Doubling Cube for 2, of course. No brainer, especially if you have as we saw, the elf on the battlefield earlier, where I tap him, and as I said, just as an example, you have your commander on the battlefield, you're going to add 5, right? So now you have 10, you pay 3, colorless, you double it, boom. So now you have access to 15 colored mana. I know a lot of people would like access to 15 colored mana. So, sorry, if you have 10, you double it. Sorry, to 20. 20 colored mana. My fault. Mistake in the calculation. So anyway, moving right along. Would you like 20 colored mana of any color? Boop. If you have the commander on the battlefield, you have any color. Magic Compass. I got the promo at the pre-release midnight for Ixalan. Pimping it out in this deck. Of course, great artifact card for this. Pay 3, colorless. Tap, search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. At the end of your turn for 3. You pay 3, tap it. You need to get that island so that you can cast your commander. You need that swamp for that spell. Whatever you need, go get it. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 7 or more lands, transform him. What does he do? Oops, there's the lightning views I spoke of earlier. And when you transform it through Magic Compass, You becomes the Spires of Orazga. Or Aska. If I said that right, that's just how I said it. Tap him, you add a colorless. Or use his other ability, tap him, untap target attacking creature an opponent controls, and remove it from combat. Boop. Bye bye. Great card. If you got 7 or more lands, odds are you probably have the 5 colors you need to cast your commander, so you're good to go. And always remember with him, let's say you only have 4. Let's say you only have, let's say you have 2 mountains, you have 2 plains, 2 mountains, 2 plains, you have a forest, 2 forests, and a swamp, and you don't have any islands, and you have Temple of the False Gods. Well, you have 4 of the colors, so you can just use the 2 colorless to cast your commander. You don't have to pay the cost. Of course, it's always +2 when you cast it, then he has to cost you 2 more than he originally cost, but with this deck, it's not a problem. Lightning Greaves for 2, we all know what they do. Your creature has haste, and more importantly, he has Shroud. Command Sphere for 3, as you can see, awesome. And if you need to get a card, sacrifice him. Chromatic Lantern, of course, no brainer in this deck. Lands you control, have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your pool. Or you tap him, and you add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool also for 3. Colorless. Fantastic. Trading Post. I have it in this deck currently. Don't know if I'm going to keep it in there. It's in there because this is an artifact deck. And I want to see how it works. I haven't really had a chance to... I've played the deck, I just haven't drawn this card a lot since I have been playing the deck. I believe I had it the first time I played it, but I find it to be a useful card because of all the artifacts you're playing. I mean, where else would you put it? Discard a card, gain 4 life. If you pay 1 and tap it, these are all pay 1 and tap. Or you have the other option. You pay 1, you tap it, and you pay a life, and you put a white goat creature token onto the battlefield. It's not an artifact, but it's an 0/1 body. You can pay 1, tap it then, and sacrifice a creature, like the 0/1 you created the last turn. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Oops, I need that Scarecrow back. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. It doesn't get a lot easier than that. But again, I haven't drawn it, so I haven't had the opportunity to use it a lot. I'm interested to see how people would react if it did hit the battlefield and I did start to use it. Panharmonicon, of course. Artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent. You control the trigger. That ability triggers an additional time. So for 4 colorless mana, I'm going to blow up 2 lands if I have a Scarecrow come in, because it's a triggered ability entering the battlefield, and hit that ability is to blow up a permanent. I'll blow up 2 lands now. Thank you very much. Every time a Scarecrow enters. And there are 13 non-creature artifacts, if I didn't mention that earlier. Mirror works, of course. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, pay 2, put its copy of that artifact onto the battlefield. Oh, I need another Scarecrow. Oh, I need another Scarecrow. Oh, I need another Scarecrow. Oh, my Scarecrow costs 1 to cast. Boom. Oh, I need a copy. And you got 6 mana after that? Have fun. Pay 2, put a copy on there on them. Boom. Wobble land. Vanquisher's Banner, again from the new set Ixalan. Or at this time, what's the new set? As Vanquisher's Banner enters their battlefield, creature choose a creature type. As Vanquisher's Banner enters the battlefield, Scarecrows. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Again, not counters, which helps attack height. Whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. Enough said. Door to Nothingness. It's in the deck for a bunch of reasons. Okay, first I'll give you, I'll just give you all of them. No particular order. Number 1, it was a foil that I had gotten of it. I've always wanted to put it in a 5-color deck. I think this may be one of the reasons I wanted to build a 5-color deck, was to drop this on somebody. Number 2, it belongs in this deck. It's a win condition. outside of blowing up someone's land. So if you really got someone that you can't deal with, and you can get this onto the battlefield, and protect it, and you can get it back, of course, as long as it's not exiled. You've seen that with the cards that we have, like the Trading Post or some of the other cards. It's game over for them. That's just the way it is. It's going to be hard for them to deal with, and they have to destroy that artifact. There's nothing they can do about it. So if they have artifacts on the battlefield they don't want to destroy, that's too bad for them. This is not Nevril's disc. You're telling them bye-bye. See you later. I can check that off on my list. My friend Joe, I did blow him up with that. I couldn't believe when he said I could untap, and I was like, I untapped it. I paid the hard 10 and said bye-bye. So I can check that off on my list of ways that I want to be players in Magic. So thank you for that, Joe. Appreciate you. Getting into my non-creature spells. You're not going to see a lot here for that, and I'm sure that you won't be surprised. I had to find useful things. There are 2 instants in this deck. 1, Fate's Reward. For 4 mana, return to the battlefield all permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Ponder that for a second. I said instant speed, right? Now, if somebody wipes the board, or it looks like that, and there's a disc sitting there and you're just, remember with this deck, you're just sitting back. Board wipe, Fate's Reward, thank you very much, blow up all their lands and excuse them from the game. Underpriced, used card, Magic. Ghost away, remove each creature you control from the game, return those creatures to play under their owner's control at the end of your turn. For 3. No brainer. Move my scarecrows, bring them back, even if it's my commander, blow up a whole bunch of lands. That's the second instant. All Hallows Eve. Yes, I did buy this to pimp this out. I may never be able to. Well, hopefully someday I will get the foil one of it. I bought it strictly just to pimp out the deck, but it turns out to be a useful card also. It's basically Living Death. Put 2 counters on this card. Remove a counter during your upkeep. When you remove the last counter from All Hallows Eve, all players take all creatures from their graveyards and put them directly into play. Treat these creatures as though they were just summoned. You choose what order they come into play. That is the important part of that card. You choose what order they come into play. So if you need to blow up somebody's creature, you get to do it because what you're going to do is put their creature in the battlefield and say, alright, now my scarecrow comes in. Boom. And that's just if you need to really get rid of something, again, a creature, but otherwise, you're blowing up lands. I'm quite sure you knew this was going to be in there. This is a no-brainer in this deck. Rite of Replication. If you're going to cast it with the kicker. You're blowing up 5. And then imagine if you got the Panharmonica on the battlefield. You just blew up 10 lands. It's insane. Land tax. Also must have for this deck. Again, 4 ramp. Great card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. Reveal them, put them in your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. Then you have the Walking Atlas, remember, which you can tap and put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. And you also have the Terrain Generator. For 2, tap, put a land card from your hand on, basic land card from your hand onto the battlefield tap. Helping you to draw those extra, get out those extra lands that you've drawn with land tax if you need to draw them. Arcane Adaptation, another great useful card that just came out of the Ixalan set. As he enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. It is true for the same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So of course, I choose Scarecrows. So every creature I cast from now on, whether it's a changeling or if it's an elf druid, guess what? It's an elf druid scarecrow. Boom shakalaka with a land. For 3 mana, of course, Diesel. Prismatic Omen for 2. The green, that's why I need to get to the green. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So, I only drew 5 swamps. Wait, I have 5 swamps and a forest. Play Prismatic Omen, and then you have out all your 5 lands colors. Ta-da! Added this just as another win type condition for the deck from the new set, Ixalan again. For 5 mana, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Fantastic. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. That's fantastic. Just another win condition. Gives us extra mana, or we stack them up and we're like, And the last card that will be revealed to you, this is my last card for this deck, of course, is Primeval Bounty. As you can see, these were all battlefield enchantments. We'll go back, show them to you again. But for 6, again with the green, whenever you cast a creature spell, put a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Can't go on the Tatterkite, but I can put them on my commander, now dealing 9 damage. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life. Wow. Consider that. So again, these, as you can see, were all battlefield enchantments. There's no... These all help me and my Scarecrow deck to become the monster that it needs to be, in my opinion. Those are the 5 enchantments. So that is my interpretation of the Reaper King, at least for this set. For this deck, I do have another deck I will be building for the Reaper King in a future video, and with that Scarecrow deck, I really do want to make that into a true Halloween deck. I want to put zombies and the transforming werewolves from Dark Ascension in there. Just anything witches, all stuff related to Halloween and any Halloween themed cards, but really make a Halloween deck out of it. And that's my plan for my next Reaper King deck, and we'll see how it turns out. So that'll end this test video. It's apparently 2 parts. This is the second part again, and the end of it. This is Joseph Capitani signing off. Thanks for watching.